Serbia, volunteers are helping refugee families prepare for the cold winter months by distributing winter clothing. And in Taiwan, we'll meet a polio sufferer whose perspective on life has changed after learning about Tzu Chi. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Duncan, DeAeth. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi volunteers have returned to the Arasevci refugee camp in Serbia for a winter clothing distribution for refugees. They last visited the site back in March. Since then, many new refugees have arrived and many are unprepared to face the cold winter ahead. 38 volunteers from 9 different countries will be delivering over 6,000 winter coats and goods over the next 6 days. Let's see how the first day went. The winter temperatures in Serbia have already reached the single digits, with many children shivering with runny noses. Here at this refugee camp, 38 Tzu Chi volunteers from 9 different countries have come together to prepare a winter distribution for the refugees.
It's very cold right now. When we entered the refugee camp, they were all very happy to see us. They asked us, "Did you come to help us? Are you going to give us winter coats?" I told them yes, that we would. And they were really happy.
The volunteers last came to the Arasevci camp in March for a distribution, and many said this distribution was much more orderly than the last. In the first phase of the distribution, 1,023 winter coats were delivered. 5 more distributions are planned over the next few days.
The last time we came, they were getting about the same rate of turnover. People coming, people going, then more coming in. Things were a lot more tense last time. This time, people are not as nervous. We had a list of people's names. Since they were all lined up outside waiting, we were working as fast as we could to get things distributed. They were all extremely grateful.
At refugee camps in Serbia, around 5,500 people are stuck here on their way to Europe. Many of them have lost all of their money and possessions on their journey and find themselves stranded with nothing. Volunteers have come to share warm clothes for the winter, as well as personal warmth to lift their spirits.
Right now that I am standing here, we received the jackets from Taiwan, Tzu Chi. So I will tell thanks a lot from everybody because we have many people here that they haven't at least 1 cent.
Today's weather is so cold, and just to warm our hearts and warm actually our body. So appreciate your organization.
In addition to the clothes distribution, volunteers also went into the camp to check on the living conditions of the refugees. With this bit of warmth and love, these refugees are ready to make it through the cold winter months ahead.
Thank you for people Taiwan.
Thank you, Taiwan. Taiwan good.
Volunteers continued their winter clothing distributions in Serbia for a second day, this time visiting refugees at the Sid train station as well as the Principovac camp, where many refugees are sleeping in tents. Volunteers continued giving out jackets and winter clothes to make sure people are prepared for the cold months ahead. Let's see how it's going. These refugees are waiting outside with smiles on their faces despite the serious cold. Many are huddled together to keep warm, and some of the children are wearing only a single layer of clothing.
Cold. Okay, afterwards you go and get your jacket. We'll give you a jacket. Okay, all right? Don't worry,
Volunteers from 9 different countries are continuing the winter clothes distributions for the second day at the Sid refugee camp in Serbia. In addition to jackets, they are also providing hats, scarves, socks, and underwear.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for Taiwan Tzu Chi.
Thank also for Tzu Chi for this donation because it's really important to everybody have jacket because of this weather.
I've never felt this cold back in Taiwan, but coming here, I planned for a cold winter. I wanted to help everyone and help the refugees that are in need. I'm not worried about a little cold if I can help others. Helping makes me feel warm inside.
After a distribution in the morning, the volunteers head to Principovac to distribute clothes to refugees living in tents. A father from Iraq tells the volunteers of his family's hardships.
Because outside is very, very cold and inside is very hot, and we cannot stay inside this room, inside this tent, 10 people only.
To keep their bodies warm, volunteers and refugees join in a group dance to keep their temperature up. Looking around at the faces after the distribution, one can sense the happiness in the air.
Taiwan, Taiwan, Taiwan,
but today good. It's the really service from you. Thanks.
They are very happy because I see a lot of people just with blanket. They don't have jackets, and I think this is a very great and very great help for them because it's cold and it will come more and more cold, and they really need these jackets.
On the second day of winter clothing distributions, 619 sets of winter clothes were delivered to the Sid refugee camp. And then later, at Principovac, another 427 jackets were distributed. The next stop planned on the third day will be at the Macedonian border.
Thank you.
Tzu Chi volunteers from Malaysia and Vietnam recently traveled to the Philippines to distribute rice to villagers in Great Love cities in Tacloban and Ormoc. Volunteers delivered rice along with some love and hope. Let's take a look.
Tzu Chi volunteers from Malaysia and Vietnam all feel the warm welcome from the villagers as soon as they arrive in Ormoc's great city of love in the Philippines. What makes them even more surprised is that the villagers are utilizing Chinese to perform from vow to action and bamboo coin banks. Seeing the happy faces of the children, many volunteers turn sadness to joy to receive the flowers presented by the children.
I feel moved because these children can perform a sutra and sing the songs such as Bamboo Coin Banks and We Are One Family.
Small children also can follow. Sa pag-welcome namin sa kanila,
since we are unable to thank those foreign volunteers individually, we show them our heartfelt welcome through smiles. This is also the way that Tzu Chi volunteers express their gratitude.
These foreign volunteers are following the parade to walk around Great Love City. The atmosphere is festive and friendly as if a carnival was being hosted. All of these activities have been arranged by the villagers in Ormoc's Great Love City as a way to thank Tzu Chi volunteers. Also, these foreign volunteers are impressed by the strong wills that the villagers have after Typhoon Haiyan.
You know, after the hurricane, but today they are all very strong. Yeah, so that's why I feel very happy for everyone.
Besides visiting Ormoc City, these foreign volunteers also traveled to Tacloban City, which was greatly damaged by Typhoon Haiyan. However, the city has almost been restored to its former glory now.
Many people were deeply impressed by us because they knew that there were no other groups that could carry out relief work in such a short time.
They also visit the church which was built by Tzu Chi to get a better understanding of how the villagers in this great loved city have gone through difficult times. All of these foreign volunteers feel the joy of giving as they distribute the bags of rice to the villagers. This experience is probably the most precious gift for the volunteers to bring back home.
Volunteers in Cambodia recently hosted rice distributions in Phnom Penh's Dang Khao and Makara for impoverished families. Volunteers also took the opportunity to educate them about how to protect the environment by doing recycling. Many local residents were inspired by Tzu Chi's spirit and helped out at the distribution. Here's more.
Rose Wong joins almost every Tzu Chi activity in Cambodia. She used to be a Tzu Jing in Australia, and she moved to Cambodia after getting married. She has chosen to help the needy as a mission in her life.
I give a mission to myself. I think this is what I need to do in my life, and I have to seize this chance. We can carry out the acts of giving in many ways here, but we should use wisdom to look for those who are really in need. This is what I have learned here, because there are many people living in poverty.
Faroon is the driver for Rose, and he takes responsibility for photographing the rice distribution. He started to join Rose in attending Tzu Chi's activities at the beginning of the year, making his life more colorful and meaningful.
I've spent less time drinking and playing cards and more time doing good deeds. I'm very happy. I thank Tzu Chi for coming to Cambodia to educate and help many impoverished residents here.
As Dang Khao was severely flooded in the middle of October, Tzu Chi volunteers went different rounds to distribute rice for affected residents while encouraging them to protect the environment.
At this event, we have learned from volunteers to save money and protect the environment. I want to express my gratitude for Tzu Chi on behalf of my villagers.
After volunteers distributed rice for about 1,100 families in Phnom Penh's Dang Khao and Makara, many local residents have been inspired to work together to care for the needy.
Dengue fever can be carried by the yellow fever mosquito and the Asian tiger mosquito. The Zika virus has also been transmitted by the same mosquitoes. From the first case in February 2015 in Brazil, in just over a year, it has spread to more than 70 countries around the world. In the first 10 months of the year, Taiwan saw 13 cases originating from abroad. The Zika virus can also be transmitted by blood transfusion and sexual contact. Here's more on the Zika virus.
The Zika virus swept Brazil, and from 2015 onwards, more than 1,000 newborns have suffered from microcephaly, which is characterized by a small head with the brain along with auditory and visual organs being affected. Mosquitoes are the vector for transmitting this disease. In the August Olympics in Rio, Brazil, which was the Zika virus epidemic area, Taiwan athletes and a medical team numbering 130 people, each of which sought maximum protection from these mosquitoes. Anti-mosquito spray, hand sanitizer, and body temperature thermometers and mosquito nets were all part of the protection to ward off mosquitoes.
We asked team members every morning and evening to take their temperature and report it by uploading it.
Though the Olympic Games ended and Taiwan players returned home and no more events took place at the stadium, though epidemic prevention work didn't take any holidays.
Some of our support team were coaches that were bitten upon returning to Taiwan after 14 days. We did a Zika virus serum check for everyone in the group.
Why did medical professionals insist on repeated quarantine measures for Zika virus? They did so because it is much more dangerous than dengue fever.
They both have a common yellow fever vector mosquito to spread, so previous places with dengue fever epidemics needed special attention. The Zika virus is also easy to spread through infection.
Both the Zika and dengue fever have similar symptoms, which include fever, headache, eye socket pain, body muscle aches, fatigue, and gastrointestinal discomfort. And in a small number of adult Zika infection cases, will experience conjunctivitis. The biggest difference between the two is Zika's route of transmission, which is more diverse than dengue fever. In addition to the main route of transmission, which is a mosquito bite spreading the virus, there can be secondary transmission through blood transfusion and sexual behavior, leading to rapid spread of the disease.
Now there's a discovery that these Zika viruses, in a small number of cases, can become chronic carriers.
Infection with the Zika virus may lead remnants of the virus to remain within male semen for up to 6 months.
Pregnant women infected with Zika virus may give birth to babies suffering from microcephaly, which harms the next generation. In the era of the global village, with more frequent international exchange coupled with global warming and microbial propagation, the Zika virus has already swept to more than 70 countries. The World Health Organization warns that Asia could be next. The number of Zika virus cases in Taiwan has also climbed. From January to October, there have been 13 domestic Zika cases, all stemming from people returning to Taiwan. Once Zika virus arrives in Taiwan and endemic cases emerge, this would mean vector mosquito transmission with mosquitoes potentially carrying another virus, potentially meaning that the large-scale disinfection campaign carried out last year will need to spread to the whole country.
In 2002, along with last year and the year before during dengue fever outbreaks, we studied how to spray pesticides and did it without interruption, but our original pesticides produced resistance in mosquitoes.
Take 1 cc of pesticides, evenly coating the glass bottle, and then subject mosquitoes to the test.
We put 20 mosquitoes into the jar, and if there are more than 3 mosquitoes alive, the mortality rate is less than 90%, meaning they are drug resistant.
Laboratory evidence shows that dengue fever vector mosquitoes are developing a resistance to 10 pesticides used in Taiwan. Mosquitoes have already developed a high degree of resistance to 3 out of the 8 pesticides that use pyrethroids, and for another 3, more than half of mosquitoes are resistant.
If we wait until the pesticide is not effective, then when the epidemic becomes more serious, it will be difficult to suppress.
When there are pesticide-resistant mosquitoes, both the Zika and dengue fever virus will become more prevalent with disease vector mosquitoes. Experts say that pesticides and antibiotics are the same, with dire consequences for overabuse, with the epidemic being difficult to control.
Because of the overall environment and an inability to stop global warming, the only thing you can do is to use the environmentally friendly measures to simply reduce the risk of this virus.
What is meant by reducing risk is simply not allowing for an environment for stagnant water and avoiding larvae for the disease vector mosquito, only later relying on pesticides to control dengue fever and Zika vector mosquitoes. For this reason, environmental measures are the best method for epidemic prevention.
Tzu Chi volunteer Guo Qingxian has suffered from polio since he was 7 months old. His parents had few expectations for him as their first child. When he was 9, he went north alone for treatment. After junior high school, he studied polishing diamonds and was even earning a 6-digit salary. However, the effects of polio were always with him, which made him reconsider his goals in life. Eventually, he returned to his hometown of Tainan, joined Tzu Chi, and began a different life.
Guo Qingxian comes to the school as usual because it is the day for DaAi volunteers to tell stories to students.
我生了一个病叫小儿麻痹症，小儿麻痹症。
I have this disease called polio. When it is very serious, the patient will die, but mine isn't serious because my hands are okay.
因为爸爸的手很 OK。
I've been a DaAi father for 4 to 5 years, and this has been the happiest time of my life because I get to see the kids every morning, and seeing them alone can make me happy all day long.
可以快乐一整天。你们有没有自己离开过家，自己生活过？
When he was 7 months old, he contracted polio, and when he was 9 years old, he left home and went north alone for treatment. He uses his life as a story.
那父母总是在无意当中就会。
My parents would always complain about it because my illness had become a burden to them. It made me feel that I should become independent as early as possible.
这样的感觉总是让我觉得我应该要早一点独立。
After finishing junior high school, he went to learn diamond polishing skill to support himself. He once made a 6-digit salary every month, but polio was still with him.
Polio caused me scoliosis, so the doctor told me that if I didn't treat it, it would restrict my cardio and pulmonary functions, and I wouldn't live past 35 years old.
The prediction did not come true. He now lives a different life.
我发现，慈济50年来也孕育了很棒的音乐。
I noticed Tzu Chi has produced so much wonderful music during the past 50 years. It is positive, warm music, so I hope a wonderful group like Tzu Chi could set up a choir to spread love to those who need it.
散播爱的种子，走向一些需要安慰的人群。大家好，我影响旁听，莫怪你是大鸡头啊！从自己身上的经验。 体会到，其实生产并不可悲。
From my experience, I realized being physically handicapped isn't pitiful. Instead, I found the motivation of my life. Sometimes I'm not encouraging kids or those underprivileged people. I actually learned to count my blessings after seeing what they go through. We can learn simplicity from them. There's always setbacks in life, but if you can see them as gifts, then it's your blessing, a lesson from heaven. This change of attitude can become a good force in your life.
Tzu Chi Guandu grounds will be remodeled in 2017, and a larger building will be built for use as both a Jingse hall and offices for DaAi TV. Volunteers held an exhibition with many old photos to share the history of the Guandu grounds.
今时今时响起一阵，响起一阵感恩。
The photos show weeds and abandoned buildings. Each old photo tells the birth of Tzu Chi Guandu ground. The area covers 2.64 hectares, and that was a secluded area. It has been here for 16 years, and there are many stories to tell.
When we came to clear the place, there were weeds everywhere. There were many big trees where DaAi TV is, so we often ate under those trees. We didn't have any chairs, so we just sat under the trees. It was like having a picnic in the countryside.
Starting in March 2000, over 1,000 volunteers came to clear the land. Typhoon Xiangshen even flooded this area. While recording these past events, the volunteers are very touched.
When I was looking at these photos, it reminded me of those beautiful memories and the footprints of love at this place. We have recruited many people to join us here over 16 years. Now we are more blessed as this place will have a new 今日后, and we can use this place together with the staff of the cultural mission offices. I feel this place will exhibit exceptional culture.
The volunteers hope to spread more seeds of goodness to other people. Master De founded abode also encourages Tzu Chi volunteers to continue doing good deeds.
When you do Tzu Chi work, you won't become old because your brain will keep working. And when it is necessary, you will also move your hands and feet. Then you will be healthy physically and mentally.
The function of the Tzu Chi Guandu grounds are coming to an end after 16 years, but the new building will continue to carry out the function of a community center to allow the volunteers to continue the work of love.
The staff at Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital have been busy working a little extra to prepare red envelopes of blessings and wisdom to be handed out at Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremonies. We'll see how doctors and nurses are putting their heart into what might seem like a simple activity, but which actually requires a lot of focus. Here's more. Medical staff from several different departments at Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital are all gathered here working on preparing the yearly red envelopes of blessings that will be delivered to the public. There are also some patients who have joined to help the process.
Wait till it's a bit dry. Now it's too wet. Okay, press down. Make sure it matches the outline. People are struggling and dealing with grief in the world. I hope the new year they will have some peace and calm. I hope they can overcome their troubles and wish them health and prosperity.
These nurses are using their hands and their hearts to prepare red envelopes of blessings and wisdom for the public. At the end of every year, this activity serves as a time to reflect on their own blessings and to spread them to others.
I chant the Buddha's name with every envelope I prepare. I hope that some blessings and good fortune will be carried along to whoever the recipient will be.
Every one of the envelopes is put together with an attention to detail and a sincere intention for the recipient.
I give a lot of attention on the cover as I want to make sure everything is placed perfectly for the blessings of the recipient.
Tzu Chi's tradition of giving out red envelopes of blessings and wisdom every year began back in 1966. The design with the sun and the stars in the background symbolizes the course of Tzu Chi's path, from its 50-year history and onward to the next 50 years. Tzu Chi volunteers in Hubei and Fujian, China are planting seeds of awareness in young students to encourage respect for the environment as they grow. Tzu Chi volunteers are teaching the students how to sort recyclables, helping them form good habits. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.